Listen well, you young princes, who crave the cold weight of a crown, in a world where every smile hides a dagger, and every oath is but a breath of wind. You have been fed the sweet milk of kindness and morality as the path to greatness, but I tell you that this is the lullaby of the vanquished. The naked truth of human nature is far more wretched. Men are inherently ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, and covetous. They are your friends only as long as you succeed, offering you their blood and property when the danger is far off. But the moment necessity approaches, they turn their backs upon you. Understand this: he who seeks to maintain a reputation for goodness among a multitude of men who are not good will surely come to a swift and silent ruin. In the halls of power, the ought today is a phantom that destroys the man who ignores what is. If you wish to hold your state, you must learn how to do wrong and use that knowledge, or refrain from using it, as the cruel bite of necessity demands. Virtue is a fine cloak for the sun, but in the storm it is the weight that drowns you. In this game of dominion, there is no sanctuary for the hesitant. Fortuna, is like a raging river that sweeps away buildings and soil, yielding only to those who have built the dams and barriers of their own resolve before the flood arrives. Know that fortune is a woman, and if you wish to keep her under your command, it is necessary to beat her and ill-use her. She is always a lover of the young and the bold, for they command her with more audacity and less caution than the cold-blooded. Therefore, a prince must have no other aim, no other thought, nor take anything else as his study, but the art of war and its discipline. This is the only art necessary for one who commands, for it not only upholds those born to the purple, but frequently enables a private citizen to ascend to the throne. To be unarmed is to be despised, and there is no proportion between the armed man and the one who stands defenseless. The latter is never secure among servants who hold the blade. Gaze upon your rivals and remember this decree of power. Men ought either to be well treated or crushed, because they can venge themselves of lighter injuries, of more serious ones they cannot. If you must strike, let the injury be so definitive that you need not stand in fear of a vengeful ghost. The path to the throne is paved with the bones of those who were almost ruthless. Now choose, will you be the master of the lion and the fox, or will you be the prey?
The 4 techniques of shadow manipulation. 1. The lion strike, ultimate suppression. To rule is to understand that fear is a bond more enduring than the fleeting whispers of love. Love is a fragile thread of obligation, easily severed by the sharp edge of self-interest. But fear is anchored by the dread of punishment, which never fails. Therefore, when necessity compels you to strike a rival, you must move with the total weight of the lion, delivering a blow so definitive that the breath of life and the hope for revenge is extinguished in a single moment. Hear the decree of the masters. Men ought either to be well treated or crushed, because they can avenge themselves of lighter injuries. Of more serious ones they cannot. If you inflict only minor wounds, you merely feed the fires of their hatred, and grant them the time to sharpen their daggers in the dark. Strike with such decisive cruelty that the injury is impossible to taste twice. Then follow this storm with a slow, measured drip of benefits to soothe the terrified survivors into a state of paralyzed gratitude. 2. The Fox's Mirror, the Ritual of Darvo. Where the lion cannot tread, the fox must weave a shroud of shadows to cloud the eyes of the many. When the light of accountability is turned upon your deeds, you must employ the threefold shield of the mirror: deny, attack, and reverse the roles of victim and offender. Begin by casting a total veil over the truth, for a great dissembler knows that a simple denial is the foundation of a new reality. Immediately turn your fangs upon the credibility of your accuser, ridiculing their spirit until they are forced onto the defense. Finally, drape yourself in the robes of the wronged party, claiming that you are the true victim of a malicious conspiracy. For he who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived. By this art, the figure and the ground are reversed. The accuser becomes the criminal in the eyes of the public, and you stand unpunished amidst the confusion you have birthed. 3. The network of dependency, tactical generosity. A prince is never truly secure until his subjects find it impossible to imagine a world where he does not exist. Loyalty is not born of the heart, but of the stomach and the shadow of the gallows. Therefore, you must entangle your rivals and subordinates in a web of such complexity that their very survival is knotted to your own. Use the weapon of knowledge hiding, withholding the keys to the kingdom, so that those beneath you remain blind and helpless without your guidance. Dispense honors, riches, and cares with a calculated hand, ensuring they are satisfied enough to remain, yet terrified enough to dread the chances of your downfall. You must adopt such a course that your citizens will always, in every sort and kind of circumstance, have need of the state and of you, for only then will they remain faithful when the winter of adversity arrives. 4. The ghost of division, divide and rule. The unity of your enemies is a wall that no single engine of war can breach. You must therefore turn their own hearts into the hammers that tear it down. To conquer a power greater than your own, you must contrive to divide their forces, either by making them suspect the men in whom they confide, or by giving them a cause to separate their own troops. Plant these seeds of suspicion between a leader and his advisors, and use tactical kindness by sparing the property of one to breed the envy of another. When trust is poisoned and replaced by internal dread, their forces will thin themselves out as they turn their eyes inward to guard against ghosts. It is in this hour of self-inflicted confusion, when they are distracted by the specter of betrayal, that you must strike with the full fury of your virtue to annex the ruins of their divided house.
The art of concealment, the mask, maintaining a virtuous appearance. Understand this, my young princes. To sit upon a throne and remain there, you must become a great pretender and an expert dissembler. The world is a stage of shadows, and he who shows his true heart is but a lamb inviting the wolf to dine. It is not necessary for you to truly possess the qualities of mercy, faith, integrity, humanity, and religion. In fact, to have them and always observe them is often injurious to the state. However, it is of the utmost utility, nay, it is an absolute necessity to appear to have them at all times. You must be a fox to discover the snares of your rivals and use the mask of the saint to hide the teeth of the lion. Know that the reality of virtue is a heavy chain that binds your hands when the winds of fortuna turn against you, but the show of religion and goodness is a tool of infinite power. There is nothing more hazardous than being truly bound by a promise when the reasons for that promise have vanished. Yet you must speak with a tongue so honeyed that you appear the very mirror of faith. The master knows that he who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived, for men are simple and governed by the necessities of the moment. Therefore, let your actual nature remain a fortress, while your outward face remains a temple. I tell you, men in the aggregate judge more by the eye than by the hand. Every common man may see what you appear to be, but very few dare to touch what you truly are, and those few who do will never be able to stand against the majesty of the state that defends the general opinion.
The vulgar multitude is always taken by appearances and by the results of an action. If you conquer and maintain your power, the means you used, however dark, will always be judged honorable and praised by everyone. Clothe your schemes in the cloak of religion, as did Ferdinand of Aragon, to keep your subjects in a state of suspense and admiration while you execute your designs in the dark. A prince must therefore have a mind as flexible as the reeds in a storm, ready to turn itself accordingly as the variations of fortuna force it. You must not diverge from the good if you can avoid it, but you must know how to enter into evil when necessity commands. You may seek to win the people's affection by appearing clement, but never forget that love is a link of obligation, which the baseness of men breaks at every whim. It is much better to be both loved and feared, but since it is difficult to unite them in one person, it is much safer to be feared than loved. Fear is anchored by a dread of punishment that never fails, even when the mask of love is cast aside.
The final command, the master's decree. Let no prince among you allow the rot of stagnation to consume the legs of his throne, for it is a common defect in men to fail to make provision in the calm against the tempest. You must never let your thoughts stray from the study of war, for in times of peace you must addict yourself to its exercise even more than in times of conflict. He who relies on the shifting winds of fortuna without raising the barriers of his own resolve will find that when the waters rise, they sweep away his buildings and his life alike. Know that a prince who neglects the art of power for the illusions of ease has already begun the journey to his own ruin. Cast aside the lullabies of those who dream of how the world ought to be, for he who neglects what is actually done for what ought to be done affects his own destruction rather than his preservation. This world is not a sanctuary for the virtuous, but a theater of necessity, where the ought is a phantom and the is a blade. You must learn how to do wrong and use that knowledge according to the cruel bite of necessity, for a man who wishes to act entirely up to his professions of goodness in a world of evil will surely come to a swift end. Accept the cruel reality of human nature, for it is the only solid ground upon which a foundation of power can be built. Carry these dark techniques not as a burden of shame, but a sharp sword forged to defend your state from the wolves that circle in the dark. You must knowingly adopt the nature of the beast, becoming a fox to discover the snares and a lion to terrify the wolves. Walk with the ruthless intellect of a strategist, but clothe your designs in the cloak of the saint. For while it is injurious to truly possess the qualities of faith and religion, it is of the highest utility to always appear to have them. Let the world judge you by the result of your actions, for in the end, if you conquer and maintain your state, the means you used will always be judged honorable and praised by every man. The hour has struck for your redemption, and you must act now, for time drives everything before it and can bring evil as well as good. Fortune is a woman, and if you wish to keep her under your command, it is necessary to beat her and ill-use her. She yields more readily to the adventurous and the violent than to those who act with cold caution. Do not wait for the opportunity to pass, for time waits for no prince, and Fortuna favors only the bold who dare to seize her by the hair. Step out from the shadows of hesitation, take up your arms and command your destiny before the silence of the grave claims your name.